Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda, and this is a vlog of me unmasking my autism and ADHD ever since getting my diagnosis a little over 2 years ago. And so today I had declared a pajama day. So I got to wear my pajamas all day long, and I have filmed in my pajamas before. But there are certain days where, as part of like my mental health, I just like block it in my calendar and I'm like, I'm not planning anything, I'm not doing anything out of the house on this day. Sometimes my pajama days, I do more household chores and things like that. Today, I just needed a complete mental health day to not have a schedule, just be able to work on my hobbies. And just like have uninterrupted time to basically like get into my special interests. Because the last several weeks with Christmas and even, going back as far as Thanksgiving, I've had so many like responsibilities, hello adulting, that have broken my time up into small chunks where I haven't had like a big chunk of time to just like deep dive into whatever I wanted to do. And that was starting to cause me a lot of stress and irritation. I was kind of getting snappy at family members, things like that. And so my daughter had an appointment today, but my husband was able to take her to the appointment instead of me. And he did grocery pickup for me today. And I was able to just have a complete day of relaxation. And oh my gosh, like I understand not everybody has access to be able to do something like this. I don't very often, but it was so needed. It's like having a sick day when you're not actually sick, like just being able to exist without having adult responsibilities. So it was really nice. And I spent a really good chunk, and I didn't really have any plans. Like I've got a lot of different hobbies, and there wasn't one specifically that I wanted to dive into today. I kind of wanted to just like go with the flow and do whatever felt good in the moment. I didn't want to like put any demands on myself because, as y'all know, I have pathological demand avoidance profile of autism. So if I told myself like, oh, today I'm going to work on my novel all day, then that would have felt like a demand and I wouldn't have wanted to do it. So I just like went with the flow, and I was able to actually spend a couple of hours this morning finishing reading a book that I have been reading for a while now because I have just been, like I said, my time's been so broken up that I haven't been able to just like sit down and focus. So I've been like reading like 2 pages at a time. And this morning it was raining really hard, and I had the fireplace going, and I was sitting in my living room reading. It was just really nice. So I finished that book. It was The House in the Cerulean Sea. I recommend it. I really liked it. It's a fantasy book and by a queer author that talks about like found family and accepting yourself for your own. I really liked its literal humor. Like at one point he has to go and see the extremely upper management, which I love literal humor like that. The main character has a lot of traits that are found in autistic people. I'm not saying he's autistic coded. I don't think he is necessarily, but he is very analytical, literal. He likes his routine. And so some of those kinds of traits, but I am not saying that the character is autistic coded or anything like that. He was just very relatable as an autistic person, and I liked that. I will say that I read some reviews after finishing the book, and there are some people who say that the book is problematic because that Clune, the author, was inspired by real life events that affected Indigenous children. And then he wrote a lighthearted fantasy with a happy ending. And so people feel like he shouldn't have done that. He has justified his work. I haven't really done a deep dive into that. As I was reading the book, I did feel like there were bigger allegories to it. That's why I went and looked at more opinions. So I'm not really going to comment on that. I don't feel like I'm qualified to. I just wanted to mention that in case that's something that you would be interested in looking more into before you read the book. I did find it talks about children being magical creatures and how they are othered by society. And so as a marginalized person myself, being queer disabled, I found it very relatable in that way. So 6 minutes in, and that's not what I was going to talk about in this video, but that's how I am. Y'all know that, guys. I had written a post earlier today on Threads that I wanted to share because throughout the day, I also was thinking about friendships like I often do on this channel. As late diagnosed autistic, friendship has been one of my biggest struggles in life. I'm a very extroverted person, but I I have a hard time connecting. Actually, that reminded me. Here it is. Actually, 3 days ago on Threads, I actually wrote, I'm an extrovert, but most of my friends are introverts or really busy people. I think I am attracted to these kinds of people because I'm not your typical extrovert. I love frequent, deep discussions, but I don't like going out doing bustly, big types of activities. I mesh well with introspective introverts, but those people tend to not need the frequency of connection like I do. I also mesh with busy people who are out changing the world, big thinkers, but unfortunately, my body cannot participate in this way. So like I always have like these big grand ideas and want to do things and change the world. Unfortunately, that just isn't something that I can maintain. As you know, you see, even today, it's like just living my normal life. I need so much downtime, recovery, and quiet time. So, and like I'm friends with some really, really awesome introverts who I love having really long, deep discussions with. But while I could do that, you know, every day or every few days, they're good with that once a week, once a month, right? And so I need to have like a lot of those friends, a lot of deep introverted, deep thinker friends so that I can like, and then start over again, like, which isn't necessarily ideal because I don't want to have to manage that many friends. Anyway, so that was one like thought I had about friends a couple days ago. And then today I wrote on Threads because I've seen a lot of posts on TikTok talking about like boundaries and like what you should look like in a friend, and if a friend does this, this, and this, you need to cut them out of your life, or, you know, those kinds of posts. And it just like gets me thinking. And I said, as an autistic person who admittedly can have black and white thinking in some occasions, I am having a hard time processing advice around what is, you know, like friendships. I've seen a lot of discourse lately about what to tolerate or not tolerate in a friend. And if I took that advice, I wouldn't have any friends because like all of my friends hit the red flags on these advice posts that I see. And people will say they aren't a friend if they do X, Y, and Z. And then I said, like, isn't some companionship better than no companionship? And aren't we all imperfect? I try to be a good friend, but I do fail by some of these measurements. Because, like sometimes they'll say, it's not a good friend if they won't drop everything and take you to the emergency room. I'm not necessarily a person that could do that. I'm not the person you would call on for that. That would not be something I'm very good at. Now, if you didn't have anybody else and you needed me to, I could probably figure it out, but I would not be the one that you called on for that. But, there are a lot of friendship qualities that I'm really, really good at. I'm extremely loyal. I'm very consistent. Like, if I say I'm going to meet you and do something with you, one of the complaints that I saw on TikTok lately is that there's Milo. A lot of times people are planning things these days and then bailing at the last minute. I don't bail. Because I hate that when other people do that to me. So unless I am like just so sick or like contagious sick, or if like, my kids are having some emergency or something, I'm going to show up. Like, I don't cancel on people. Like, I will take the meds if I've got a headache and just go anyway. And it's not always even like something I probably should do. Because, I've seen other people put their health ahead of like going out to lunch, like, oh, I have a really bad headache, I need to sit this one out, which is probably the healthy thing to do. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're my friend, I will go because that's a more, I guess I prioritize over my own pain. But part of that is because I deal with chronic pain. I have pain in my body pretty much every single day of my life. I don't recall ever having a pain-free day. And so if I didn't do things when I was in pain, I would never do anything. I mean, right now filming this video, my lower back is screaming at me, but that's just my life. And so that's a thing that, like, a thing that I do bring to the friendship. I mean, we all bring our own baggage, and it happens to benefit the other person that I'm friends with, that I rarely cancel on things. I don't know why I'm laughing about that, because saying it out loud, but it's true. And I'm a very good listener, and I have extremely high cognitive empathy. So when someone's telling me their problems, I can like really relate and get in their shoes and see it from their perspective. And then if they want me to, I'm really good at playing devil's advocate. So like, if my friend is really upset with their sister or something, I can play a part of my friend and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, your sister sucks, blah, blah, blah. Or I can say, hey, do you want me to tell you what your sister might be feeling and devil's advocate for you so that you can like kind of problem solve? And so I'm really good at that. Anyway, the reason, what else I wanted to do was like, so I posted this and I got some really good responses. And so I wanted to kind of like talk about some of them. One person said that my perspective is that you need to weigh the person's values against their flaws and adjust your expectations and have a different friendship on each person, which I agree with. Like, I definitely do that. Like, different people in my life bring different values. And she's like, it's possible to have friends that you call up and grab for a lunch or invite to a party, but you wouldn't trust them to keep a secret or return borrowed money. And she said, at the same time, a friend might be one who drops everything to bring you soup when you're sick or drive you to the airport, but your close confidant who consoled you through a divorce would not do that. And see, that's kind of like what I was just saying. Like, I'm not the person you're going to call to drop everything to bring you something, because that is so disruptive to me. It's really hard for me to do that. But I will totally be there to console you through an upsetting issue. If you can measure your friends as individuals, you'll know which friends will meet you at the hospital, which friends will visit you when you're sick, and help you with your laundry. I don't have any friends like that. Which friends will text you and check on you regularly. That's another thing that I will do really well. I'm always checking in on my friends. What is she saying here? Which friend will check regularly and send you Instacart, but otherwise ignore you until you're well? And which friend was part of the hijinks that would send you to the hospital in the first place? Yeah, I'm not a hijinks kind of person, but yeah, I totally get what she's saying. I really liked that response. And then somebody else said, oh, I know this one. We're going to my post. When people give advice, it's almost always how they imagine they'd avoid some of the hurt that they'd experience. They're not real rules, but defense mechanisms. And that's kind of an interesting way to look at advice. I like that one. And someone said that what you will and won't tolerate in a friendship is a personal journey. And I can understand that. I do think that is true. This one hit, though. This person said, depends on what the XYZ is, I think. I've seen posts that sound like what you're talking about, where they hold friends to impossible standards, or they assume that we're all extroverts with plenty of friends to spare. But also some of these posts just mean that it's okay to have boundaries and it's okay to leave an abusive jerk. Mediocre companionship is usually better than no companionship, but some people's companionship is worse than no companionship. And I really, really liked that reminder that some people, I am an extrovert, but what this person is talking about is that, yeah, some people just naturally have a lot of friends. And so if they have a friend that is causing them frustration on a consistent basis, then yeah, it's time to get them out of your life, because focus on the people who are, contributing and, being equal in a friendship. But some of us struggle and don't have that many friends, so I can't be that picky. Let's see. Someone else talking about how they categorize friends and the different ways they present, which again, yeah, I have a friend that I pretty much go to tea with, and we have really deep discussions. And then, right now I don't have that many friends. I was going to say, and I have a friend this and a friend that, but I do have more than just one, but right now, most of my friends are a friend I meet up with occasionally for a visit. And then someone else said, I think the key is communications. I think a lot of times these posts I see condemn certain behavior in friends, but they don't actually recommend that you check in with your friend to see if there might be something going on that's behind their questionable behavior. And this one is so important. I think so many people assume what the other person is thinking without checking in. And I think that's where a lot of friendships go to die. So even today, I was feeling kind of questionable about one of my friends. I hadn't heard from her in quite a while. So I was like, did I do something to upset her? And now she's trying to take space to try to figure it out. I couldn't figure out what the silence meant. And it was really starting to bug me, because I had sent her a couple of texts spread over a couple of days and hadn't gotten any response, which isn't typical. And so she knows I have RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria. So I texted her and said, hey, my RSD is really high today. Did I do something to upset you that I just don't know about? Or is something else going on? And if so, how can I support you in it? And she wrote back and said that she just like with Christmas and everything, she had basically peopled herself out and she was just deep diving into an introvert bubble, and that she probably wasn't going to resurface until the end of the month. I'm like, oh, okay. That was good to know. Wasn't expecting that. But I am glad I checked in. And, we have plans to do something in February, which for me and my little ADHD brain, that feels so far away. Like I don't do well with planning that far out, but it was good to just check in. It was hard. It was scary because I have done those check-ins before in my worst fears where the person is, like I'm upset at you and don't want to be your friend anymore. It has so happened. And I've also had people who just ghosted me. So this person said, to me, relationships aren't transactional, but you should be receiving some benefit from a friendship. Be it someone who listens to you completely, someone who connects with you in a way that no one else does, someone you like to go on little coffee dates with. But as long as you're benefiting from the relationship positively, that's a relationship that might be good to keep. Once you're giving more to the relationship than you get back, that's when I wonder if the friendship can continue. So that's also really good advice. This person said it's nuanced and hard for me where my autistic pattern recognition comes in. If someone does a thing that's hurtful or dismissive once, but they are otherwise kind and caring, we need to have a chat. But if they have a pattern of being hurtful and dismissive or otherwise awful behavior, then that might be time to examine whether that person is actually my friend. And I agree. The advice I got on this thread was just really, really good and touching. And if you are one of these people, I'm not calling out names because I don't know if these people want to be called out or not. But they are you can go to my threads and see them. This person said, what's missing much of the time is a view of the other person as a whole person with their own needs, abilities, and issues. We all need to have grace with each other, even while honoring our own needs and limits. I hadn't seen that one yet. That one reminds me of one of my favorite words, which is sonder. And it means that every single person that we interact with has a life that is vast and complex as our own. And that we are like the heroes of our own stories, but at the same exact time, we are a side character in the other person's stories, right? So oftentimes, especially for me with my aphantasia, and I can't visualize, I can't think of my friends and kind of visualize what they might be doing in their life right now. It's just dark blankness. So it's really hard for me to remember sometimes that they have these big, complex, wonderful lives with so many other friendships and relationships that don't involve me. And it's a good reminder for myself that I'm not the main character in everybody's life, right? Let's see. Friendships are like romantic relationships. You can meet a lot of nice people to have a good time with, but finding someone that actually gets you is hard. And this one also hits hard because I don't know if this has always been so, but I feel like definitely modern times that people think of friendships in a very different way than I do. I really want to have deep, intimate connections with my friends, platonic deep connections where I think a lot of people just like a surface level of friendship. And they only want those deep, intimate relationships with their, sexual partner. And I think for me, I want to have that with my sexual partner, but I also want to have that platonically with people. I love connecting with humans not just on the surface level. And I think that's partially, you know, autism at play. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'll just go ahead. There's one more, so I'll go ahead and read it. It says, I've had to walk away from entire friend groups a few times over the years due to the nature of interactions within the groups. No companionship was absolutely preferable to the toxic or predatory companionship of that group. If their actions or words live in separate realities, they're not to be trusted with anything as precious as a friendship. So somebody asked, what do you experience? What is a predatory companionship? And they replied back and said, when they're only in it for what they can get from you, with essentially no reciprocation other than perhaps on occasion an empty promise to help foster your further participation to their benefit. And I have had people who have been like that in my life, where I realized that I was the one always giving. And it's like, no. So anyway, I think that, like I said, there's a lot of really good advice in that thread. That's why I wanted to bring it to y'all, because I found it helpful. So I thought maybe y'all would too. I hope y'all are having a wonderful start to the new year. I'm like, if you follow the news in America, at least it's been a doozy. But on a personal level, my year has started off pretty well. So until the next video, bye guys.